And we move on to step 22. And step 22, we need some more components. We're going to need our top deck. We're going to need these OT205 part 8s. These are where the battery straps go around. And we're going to need OT205 part 3, which are these smaller, they're like brackets. And we need OT205 part 4, which is slightly larger of the brackets. These are the rears and these are the fronts. We're going to need our nylon nuts. We're going to need 8 of those because we've got to do 2 each. We've got to put nylon nuts inside a captivity area of these brackets. So we need 8 of these nylon nuts. These are the M3 nylon nuts. We also need this little device here. This is OT205 part 7. And we're going to need a screw, a flanged M3 by 10. It's a flanged self-tapping screw, as you can see with this very large flat head. Okay. And we need to screw this together onto our top deck, and this is OT220. And just to make a little heed here where it says removes rough edges with sandpaper is recommended. So I did have I did spend about 10 minutes or so rubbing this edge here, because where it was pressed or cut, they were quite rough. So I've gone around there and removed that in here as well, and in here I've actually gone and spent the time just to smoothen that off, so that you can run your hand around it. You're not gonna go, oh, that's rough. So yeah, so a bit of sanding around this deck. It's a fiberglass type deck. So we've got to put all this together. And I'm just looking ahead at this, the way these nuts press in. I'm going to have a look and see how they press in and see whether they're a tight fit. Now, if they're not a tight fit, not a tight fit inside here, what I might do is just run a little bit of glue, like a little bit of rubber cement, as Tamiya used to call it, so that it holds in. So at least that way, when I've got these screwed into place, by looks of things, screwed into place on the chassis, at least that little captivated nut's not then going to fall back out and I'm going to go hunting around for it. So it's a little tip there. Pop a little bit of rubber cement, just a little bit on the outside, so that when you put this in, it sticks in there. Right, so I'm going to get on and do that. So how I go about doing these little nuts inside here, look, hopefully you can be able to see. So I put a little bit of Yoo-hoo glue, got a stick that I'm using here. I'll just put a little bit in here, and the idea is just put a little bit, just so it glues in like that. Then take the little nut and then pop that in so it's flush. There we are. At least I now know that just with a little bit of glue inside there, it's not gonna come out on me at a later date. Don't go too mad. You just want something just to hold it in place, so it doesn't slip back out again. So there you go. And I've got to do that with the rest of them. Just make sure they're home and make sure they're straight. So I'll just do the rest of them and I'll come back to you. So that's the last one in. So you've got your 4 captive nuts in there, and yeah, there's a little bit of have to forgive me there, a little bit of glue residue over those. But yeah, all I've done there is, I mean, I think it would have been okay. I don't think they would have slipped out, but I didn't want to risk it. So what I've done is I've put a little bit of Yoo-hoo glue just to stick the nut in. It'll come back out again if I want it to come back out. It's not going to be in there permanently. But what it does mean is that when I'm putting this underneath the chassis or whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's not going to come out, because I've stuck it in place with a little bit of glue. There we are. So that's that bit done. And now we're going to put these onto the tray itself. So these ones are going to go on, I think these are going to be prepared for the next step, which is basically going to be step 23. These here, we're going to pop these So these go onto the chassis. So this goes underneath, and then this goes using these little OT242s. Again, you don't need to go too mad with this, but it's just a case of screwing these onto here, and it's into plastic. So like I say, don't go too mad. So get a couple of threads on there, and get a couple of threads on that one. Oh, hopefully you can see me. Just get my fat fingers out of the way in a moment, and you kind of see what I'm doing. There we are. And yeah, so they go in, and again, just pop those tight, finger tight, and we've got the other one on the other side to do. And again, don't go too mad, just want it nipped up with your fingers. Then we got this goes in here. So this has got a little locating pin underneath. So we're going to pop this so that it faces the front of the plate, so that the locating pin locates into the hole, and that locates in there like that. You can see it's come through the other hole, and then you're going to tighten it with this flanged M3 by 10. You're going to tighten through, okay? And it's not going to be too difficult. No. Done. And that's basically, essentially, step 22 completed. We can now move on to step 23.